The Jews are occupiers of a land not their own. The Palestinians are indigenous. The Jews, mainly from Europe, came and stole the land and they occupied it. And that's the story we're told. Ben Shapiro digs deeper into the founding of Israel, what happened really in 1948 and just prior and just after, because the facts tell us a very different story, and facts and knowledge are power. So let's have a look at what Ben says, because he exposes the lies that we're told.
The Arabs side with Hitler. Okay, during World War II, you have Hashmin al-Husseini. He is the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, one of the Palestinian leaders at the time, the Arab leaders at the time, and he was literally meeting with Hitler, attempting to encourage Hitler to establish a final solution in the Holy Land should the Germans be able to conquer that area, which the Germans came pretty close. I mean, you had Rommel literally in Egypt, right? Rommel was over here. Okay, so fast forward, you're now after World War II. Still, the British mandate is limiting the amount of Jewish immigration into British Mandate Palestine, because they're attempting to keep this conflict between the Jews and the Arabs simmering at a lower level. Okay, 1947, there's a UN partition plan, because now the British mandate in Palestine, they want to end it, they want to withdraw, they don't want to be there anymore. So the UN says, okay, we're going to vote on a partition plan. It retains Jerusalem as internationally governed. Okay, so it would not have been Jewish territory or Arab territory, it would have been internationally governed. It's just this fragmented, ridiculous state. Okay, the state for the Jews would have been like a slice here, a little bit of a slice of the coastal area here, and then the Negev desert down here. The Jews are like, give us whatever you got, right? Whatever you're going to give us, we will take. The Arabs instead decide that they're going to launch a bunch of low-level conflicts. So there's this kind of low-level, quiet war that's going on for about a year, with Arabs attacking Jewish settlements and attempting to kill Jews, and Jews attempting to defend themselves. May 14th, 1948, the British mandate officially ends. Israel declares its independence, right? This is Yom HaAtzmaut, or as the Arabs like to call it, the Nakba, right? They call it a disaster that Israel was established. The leader of Israel at this time is David Ben-Gurion. Ben-Gurion is no right-winger. He's no hardcore right-winger. Ben-Gurion was a labor socialist. Ben-Gurion was very much in favor of a wide variety of negotiations. He was quite anti-religious in sort of his own persona, but he understood the necessity of there being a Jewish state. In their founding documents, they ask the Arabs to stay. If you read the Declaration of Independence of the State of Israel, they explicitly say, we want to be a state for all of our citizens. Yes, we're a Jewish state, but we want Arabs to stay. We want them to become citizens. Instead, all of the surrounding Arab countries declare war. Israel is surrounded on every side by hostile states. Every single side, right? So you got Lebanon up north, you got Syria here, you got Jordan, you got Saudi Arabia, you got Egypt down here. And then there are a bunch of far-flung states that are also getting involved, right? Morocco was part of the 1948 war. You have a bunch of states that have decided they are going to invade and they are going to destroy Israel. Like they're just going to strangle it in the crib. And they're openly saying this. And not only are they openly saying this, they're telling the Arabs who are living in the Jewish areas, get out and get out of the way so our armies can come in and we can wipe the state off the map. Well, that's not how it ends up, right? The way that it ends up is that the Jews end up basically retaining pretty much everything that's on this map, with the exception of the old city of Jerusalem, right? So Jerusalem ends up basically split down the middle. Jerusalem is not controlled by the Jews at this point. The Temple Mount is still controlled by the Jordanians. The way that people speak about this particular period is as if there was a Palestinian state at this point. There was not. By 1964...
So this is really important, and we'll get to the later stages in another video. But what he's saying is so important to remember. The displacement that occurred when the Arabs said, we're not going to accept a Jewish state. So this whole notion that the Jews came in, threw people out, and occupied a land not theirs, it's a lie. Jews were living there. They'd been living there for 2,000 years or more. And they maintained a presence there for the entirety of their exile, even most of them were scattered, but slowly, gradually started repurchasing land to the extent that Jerusalem became majority Jewish by the late 1800s. And yes, there are Arabs living there because there was Islamic and Arab conquest of the land in about the 7th century, and they in many ways were occupying a land that was Jewish, but fine. The Jews that were slowly returning were saying, okay, so look, let's divide the land. It's not like you created some independent national state where you had your own identity. You all identified as Arabs, really, as part of the greater Arab region. So we feel our claim is far stronger, but we've said, well, if you want to do your own thing as well, fine. But they, from the start, said no. And the displacement occurred because they said, no, we will not accept any Jewish states. The whole thing has to be Arab, the whole region. We won't accept one tiny sliver of land, even though you have a far greater claim to the land. And you've just experienced in your exile the worst human rights catastrophe, frankly, in history with the Holocaust. And we see even before Hajj al-Husseini, who met with Hitler before you had an Israel, supporting the annihilation of the Jews. So from the very get-go, the whole Palestinian cause has not been about a unique national identity. It's simply a cynical ploy to get rid of that one tiny Jewish state. You've got all that Arab land, and these are Arabs ultimately. But no, they cannot be comfortable with saying there'll just be one tiny Jewish state, where they even were prepared to split the land in two, and the Jews. And they didn't. They rejected it. So knowing the history, knowing that we're told lies, lie after lie after lie, that the Palestinians are a nation, that they are in any way indigenous, that the land was stolen, it's all nonsense. And it's so important that you just dig a little bit deeper than what the protesters on the street are screaming at you, and you will find the truth. Hi everybody, thanks for watching. If you want to watch another one, click here. If you want to subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest JTV content, click here. And if you're feeling really keen, you can click the join button down below underneath this video, where you can get perks including early access to new videos and private live discussions with me, where we can talk about JTV content and strategy moving forward, and I'll get to hear from you. Thanks again for watching.